we talked about the lacrosse program in Onslow County and how much it's grown over the last couple of years. There was a story you told me, Mr. Bob, that I want you to go ahead and tell to our listeners out there about the program at Northside.
Well, we started 6 years ago. This is our 7th year. I believe you're talking about how we got started. Our first year we had about 5 players that played for the Onslow Youth Lacrosse Association at school, and they really wanted to start a team. And both my sons played, so I was looking to start a team for them to play on when they're in high school. And there was a huge budget crunch, so they put us back a year. But we kept pestering them and telling them that we didn't need any money, and we raised the money ourselves. Had 25 donors, family members, people in the community that were ready to see lacrosse get started, and each of them donated $250 a piece. Not one person turned us down out of 25, and that's how we got the money to finance the program. And then the interesting thing was trying to find kids to play that had never seen it. When I first started practice, I had a couple of those 5 that were there to start with had graduated, so I had about 4 guys that had played lacrosse before, and not any other guy on the team had even seen it on TV. And our first year we didn't make any cuts, and we had 24 guys that came out for the team.
And when you're starting a program like that, when it's not as popular when it first gets started, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of personal information and coaching definitely has to go into it to be able to teach the kids who don't know really a lot about the game at that point, because there was really nowhere to play it. And as it's grown through Onslow County now, there's a lot of programs that are below the high school level where the guys can actually get started, the men and women can get started playing lacrosse. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, the Onslow Youth Lacrosse Association got the ball rolling. They started youth leagues, and they eventually had some higher age teams. And like I said, both my sons were playing, and the kids from Northside were playing. I go out there and watch. And when I decided to start a team, I didn't know that much about it, but I started studying, and I said instead of standing back and wondering what the coach was doing, I just made myself the coach, and the principal agreed, luckily. And we had a guy on staff that had played at Air Force, and he was my assistant. So him and the 4 guys that played before did most of the teaching. And each year since then, since it's grown, it's easier to teach the new guys because you've got so many more that have played it. This past year, I think we had right at 50 guys try out, and we cut down to 30, which I hated to do. But out of those 30, 25 had played before. So I mean, the number's really increasing.
And now, when you first started the program, talk about kind of the growth of it over the past 7 years, as this is your 7th year as the head coach. And the past 2 seasons, you've had 13 wins each year. Last year, making it all the way to the second round, where Cedar Ridge was able to win 15-13. We had to be really proud of that moment. And did you envision that when you first created the program?
Well, I felt like we had the athletes, and a lot of times when we first started, we go to these schools, and they were really good lacrosse players, but we had better athletes. And I kept saying, if we can ever catch up with them with the stick skills and everything, we'll be pretty good. Because we went to Wilmington, and what Wilmington did was they wrote a grant years ago for at-risk youth. And they started lacrosse in their middle schools for something to do after school for these at-risk youth. So they had middle school lacrosse before they had high school lacrosse. And we would go down there, and we took a lot of beatings. But luckily enough teams picked up, and we got to get out of that league and into another league where we could be a little bit more competitive. And it's been good. It's been a lot of fun.
Now, just like any other high school sport, there's a chance of a turnover when the seniors graduate, and hopefully some of those are able to go on and continue playing their lacrosse career at this point. And you had a couple seniors graduate from the past year, 3 of them, I believe, that have gone on now to play college.
Yeah, 2 years ago, a kid named Matt Latham went to Fairham to play, and he was our first guy that kind of went out there and got recruited a little bit. And then this past year, Chowan University started a brand new program. So there's 3 of our kids that are playing there now. AJ Jones, Gianni Jones, and Jamal Barrett are all playing there. And I told them it'd be perfect because they know what it's like to come from a program that's from the start. Those guys came in early in the process, and they'll be good leaders, and they'll be able to do well there.